again, and welcome to the channel for today's Sunday Standard Deck Tech. We have provided list and built by Sir Alchabal from MTG Top Decks, wherein the MTG Goldfish website, wherein he provided this list for the Elves as a potential archetype in the upcoming Dominaria United standard format, in which we are going to check the new cards and what he also included or added on this build. So without further ado, here is the build, and sorted according to its converted mana cost. As you can see, most of them are probably around 2 mana cost with 22 lands, in which the splash is quite of the 3 colors, but its core color is just basically green, and adding each of these gold cards of the Naya colors. So if you're not familiar, Naya colors is red, green, and white, but with its core color of green, it's not really hard to do this fixing, and given that we have a few mana creatures that we can use for this. So we start with the one of Llanowar Stalker. It is a 1/1 for 1. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under control, it gets +1 to seal on their turn. So basically, this is the only one drop in this deck, but if you ever can get to play with this in the first turn, you can basically maximize it as you proceed to your next turns, casting more creatures, and as long as more creatures enter the battlefield, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Next up, we have this is System Capena, also an elf. It's 2+2/1 attended socialite. It has its alliance ability. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, it gets pumped until end of turn. So basically, it has a similar ability with that of the first one, of the one drop, which we mentioned earlier. But the only drawback is that it also get to pump its toughness, which is better, because the 2 drop is basically a good curve once you get along with other cards in your play in the setup. So after that, we also have Gala Glitters. This is a rare from SNC, so this is a basic mana addition for 2 drop because of its various uses of its alliance ability. You can get bigger, you can create tokens to ramp it up later for your turn, or you can also gain life in the process. So 4 copies of this to make sure that it will be efficient, and by turn 2 you can get to cast a Gala Glitter, which can basically curve out to fix your mana or ramp it into your 3rd drop or 4th drop. So next up, we have the Elf. This is basically the Elf Lord of the set. Leaf Crown Visionary, a 2/2 cast 1/1 for green, and other elves you control gets +1/+1. And whenever you cast an elf spell, you just pay 1 green mana. So if you do, you get to draw a card. So as what most Aggro decks would require, they also just rely on their regular draw step, and this is a way to get you back into the game once that you play more of your elf spells. Then you get to draw in this process. So basically, you're just cantripping your elf summons in the next turns, which is very effective and essential if you ever go to the lone game, as you still be able to refill your hand with this, and also it's a lord in process. So this is a good 2 drop in a sense, and can be efficient in making sure that your other elves gets bigger and can be an efficient attacker in the board. So as along with it, we have a 2 drop again, the Llanowar Lone Speaker, which is from Dominaria United also. This is one of the new cards that I've discussed in my previous red-green aggro deck tech. So you can basically ramp up your mana. It has a good toughness of 1/3. You can later on also add extra your lands to become a 3/3 elemental creature with haste until end of turn, and this is just a good attribution of its own with various uses in the mid game and late game. So this also has 4 copies. Next up, we have 4 copies of the Kyrion Beast Color. I think this is the another 2 drop from the set. I'm not sure why it's still in Japanese, but this is another 2 drop that has ETB effects whenever it comes to play, or another creature comes to play under your control. And last but not least, for the 2-drop, I think this is also, I can consider this as a 3-drop because of the kicker cost, since you can basically go with the 2 to cast 3 to trample, but for you to be able to curve out on your 3rd turn, you can just pay the kicker cost to have it +1/+1 and gain haste until the end of turn. So it makes sure that it becomes a 4-3 attacker and hasty attacker after you curve out with your 2nd turn creature. So basically you can maximize your extra lands by your 3rd turn, which instead if you were going to just cast this for 2, it is not haste. So basically having it to cast at your 3rd turn makes sure that you can be able to attack and make use of the kicker bonus as it enters the battlefield. So 4 copies of this for basically under the 2-drop category, but I'm still considering this as a 3-drop in the sense of its kicker. Now for the 3 mana cost, we have Brazen Upstart. This is an uncommon elf from Streets of New Capenna. It's like a 3 to cost 4 through vigilance, but whenever it dies, you can get to trigger the ability of looking at the top cards of the library and revealing a creature card from among them and put it in your hand. So basically it can replace itself as it dies in combat or any spot removal that your opponent may have. So 4 copies again to make sure that your curve is sustained in your aggro setup. So also 2 copies of this 3-drop is King Darien, the fifth. Forgot this term, but it's just King Darien. Other creatures you control is +1, so it is another Lord ability that can set up your elves, and you can pay 5. You can good mana sync later on, put a counter on it, and create a 1/1 White Soldier creature token. And also a way to protect your creatures. Whenever you sacrifice it, creatures you control gain hexproof and indestructible under end of turn. So basically, this is a good 3-drop in a sense. It has basically a lot of uses in the setup, and also a good mana sync. So 3 abilities for 3, which are very essential. But I think you can add, for my setup, if ever I would to fix the mana cost, I would go with another copy of this to make sure that you can be able to play this by your 3rd tree and make use of its pump ability and other static that you may have. Then the last for the 4-drop, we have Fleetfoot Dancer also from Streets of New Capenna. Nothing too fancy to describe here, but it's just a 4/4 trample lifelink haste. So a good curve as you get to aggro with your elves. You can also just cast for 2 on this, or you can go with Llanowar Speaker and then go with the 3rd turn Fleetfoot Dancer. That would also be a good case. Now for our fixing of mana, but since we have no sideboard yet, we'll go with the last part, the mana fix. We have 4 copies of Jetmir's Garden and 4 Secluded Courtyard. This is basically the tribal land uncommon from the set, which you can just name elf and then add it to your mana of any color to spend for casting that specific creature spell of that chosen type, or also to activate the ability of the creature or creature card of the chosen type. So this is a good inclusion here. I'm not sure if we're going to fix, but Jetmir's Guardian might be a drawback here since it comes to play tap, but the only good is that the 1-drop here is only 4, so basically on your 1st turn you won't be needing to play this on this setup, but just play out a Thailand, then comes to play tap, and then next turn proceed with playing one of your many 2-drops in this deck. So that's about it. This is sort of, I call it as Naya Elves by Sir Al Chabal, but I'm pretty sure you can go more with this deck build as you go along. I think we'll go with adding more spot removals, not only these pump spells and creatures, but also adding more mana fix here and maybe spot removals like Lightning Strike or any other fight effect that can make sure that you can get to benefit and put out the removal of any blockers that your opponents may have. So that's about it. Thank you for checking this standard deck tech for Dominaria United. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more topics for the upcoming set with this rotation, and also trivia and other info of Magic the Gathering related. Check out on this. Thank you for watching, and until next time.